Hey folks, I know I am just an old guy telling stories, but please leave a like and subscribe before we start. Let's enjoy in today's stories. I found out some disturbing information about Chernobyl on the dark web. The story I'm about to tell you happened a long time ago, about 10 years ago, maybe even more. I love the dark web. I also love to go urban exploring, or let's just say exploring. Safe locations are no fun for me, but I still explore them. I love dangerous locations even more. I always do research for my locations to go urban exploring on the dark web. I do my research on the dark web because you can find a lot of uncensored information there, unlike the censored and the limited information you get from the regular web. About the dark web for the first time, I heard when I was still in high school. Yeah, I know I was young and stupid back then. But for the first time I saw it in a YouTube video. I don't remember which channel was or what YouTuber did the video, but I remember that from that video I learned how to access the dark web, how to download and set up Tor, and how to stay as safe as possible on the dark web. So one night I was doing my typical research about my next location. You know, the next location where I should do urban exploring. So going from one link to another, I stumbled upon a link about Chernobyl. First, I thought the Chernobyl accident happened back in the 80s, so it was a long time ago, and probably all of Chernobyl is already explored and everyone knows everything about that place. But how wrong I was. The first thing I found out is that even to this day in Chernobyl, in some places, the radiation is still high from the accident. I guess that is not that surprising, to be real. But as I was doing more and more research, I stumbled upon some pictures of weird animals. The animals had some physical changes. You know, from the radiation, their DNA changed. They had more legs than they should, or even one more head. Stuff like that. I have heard about that stuff before as well. But as I was doing even more research, I found out about a hidden area or sector. You can call it whatever you want. This grabbed my interest. When I tried searching on the regular web, there was nothing on there. Not a single bit of information. So this, of course, meant something. If something is not on the regular web, and there is not a single piece of information about it, someone is trying to keep it a secret, or something even worse. This place was underground. I will not mention the name of the area or the sector for your own safety and my own reasons as well. There was a little bit of information on how to actually go down there, but one thing was mentioned as well. If you actually plan to go down there, the radiation in that place is so high that it would kill you in about 10 seconds without the right kind of equipment and gear. After reading this far, I knew one thing for sure. This is my next location. I don't care about anything. This is it. I am going here. So in the next few days, I booked my flight to Ukraine. I needed to go to the Kiev Oblast in Ukraine. Now there was one big problem. For that place I wanted to go, you know, that hidden underground place, I needed equipment, but I cannot take that with me through the airport. So I needed to take my chances and test my luck to find something once I am there. And that is what I did. I got on the flight and landed in Kiev. In Chernobyl, there are two ways to enter, legally with a tourist guide and not so legally. You already know which way I chose, I guess. Entering Chernobyl wasn't exactly hard. I did it while it was dark. I can tell you one thing. If you are planning to enter Chernobyl, be careful. There are still guards and security going around. With me, I brought a backpack and Geiger counter. For those who don't know, Geiger counter is a tool used for measuring radiation levels. I can tell you it is true. In Chernobyl, in some places the radiation is still high. I checked it with my tool. But walking in Chernobyl during the night is scary. Like really scary. I am brave and I do explore other locations alone, but here is a different atmosphere and feeling. To be honest with you, I was so close to shit my pants because it was pitch black. The only source of light was my flashlight, and around me I could hear animals making weird noises. The first thing I came across in Chernobyl was an abandoned town. I've seen videos of this town on YouTube, so it is not a big deal. It is available to the public. You can go anytime there, so it is nothing special. It was a ghost town, basically. Buildings were left with furniture that was falling apart. The buildings were old. You can easily believe that, in that place, an accident happened. I decided to rest in one of the rooms a little bit because I was tired. I hid well and took a 3 hour nap. I ate a chocolate bar and I continued to walk deeper into Chernobyl. I needed to get closer to the place where the reactor exploded. So basically, I needed to get to the core where the whole accident happened. But as I was getting closer to it, my tool started acting crazy and started making weird noise. When I took a look at my tool, the radiation levels were so high. They were dangerous levels high. So I had two choices. The first choice is to risk my life without equipment. The other one is to go back and try to find some kind of left equipment and continue. I decided that the first choice is too dangerous, so I decided to go with the second one. I started going back from the way I came. I knew if I went again to that ghost town, I could find something there. I don't know if it was pure luck or destiny or something, but I actually found some kind of equipment. The only problem is that I had no knowledge of this equipment, and I didn't know if it still worked since it was probably older than me. So I had to take my chances. I decided to put it on and continue with my journey. I don't know if I really can call it this journey, but if there is not a single risk, it is not fun, right? Please do not answer that. As I was getting closer to the place from before, the tool started going crazy again. The radiation levels were dangerous. I was determined to keep going forward. The place around me was dead. When I say dead, I mean there was no grass, no trees, nothing you would normally see. So that was proof that my tool was working like it should. After about an hour walking, I came to the place I saw on the dark web. It was so identical, so it must be it. This is where the dangerous part starts. I needed to find that well-hidden entry point. I don't know if the right way to say it is well-hidden or long forgotten. There wasn't too much information on the dark web about how to enter there. So, I was on my own from here. I knew I had to enter this hidden sector. I knew I could find some things over there that would make this journey worthwhile. I started looking around me. I tried to look on the ground for some kind of hidden bunker, or in this case, room door. But there was nothing like that. I was constantly making circles around that spot, but I couldn't find anything. I was starting to lose hope. The night was close. The sun was starting to set, so I sat down on a piece of metal square and started to think. There were stones on the ground, and I started to play with them. I started throwing rocks around. I don't know if you will believe me or not. Maybe you will call it luck or destiny, but one of the rocks hit some kind of metal. My eyes lit up. I got so excited after I heard that metal bang. I knew it must be something since around me it was empty. I went in the direction I threw the stone and there was a small metal handle. It was like a door handle. I tried to pull it, but it wouldn't budge. Then I tried to turn it, and it made a clicking sound. Then I tried to pull it again. It was heavy, but this time it started to open. The weird thing about it is that when I opened it, there were these long wall ladders going down, and even more weird thing was that inside there the lights were still working. Inside there was still electricity. But for what? I climbed down the ladders slowly, and after a few minutes I finally reached the bottom. Now I was in this long corridor with no doors on the left and right. The only direction I could go was straight, and that is what I did. I kept on walking straight until a door was in front of me. For the door to open, I needed a key card. I didn't have that kind of thing, but I had my small PC for hacking and a screwdriver. I knew how to pass locks like this. I tried to hack it, and luckily it worked. I was in the room I saw on the dark web. The first thing I noticed when I entered the room were the monitors. There were tons of monitors. They were covering the whole wall. On some of the monitors there was text, no signal, while on the others there was footage from Chernobyl. Yeah, you heard me right. Someone was keeping an eye on the people that were working here. But for what? And why I have this weird feeling? Why is that this was kept a top classified secret? Another thing I noticed is that the radiation levels were normal down here. My tool was showing 0 in this room. 0 radiation. There were a lot of shelves with a lot of books and documents. I started to go from one to another. Then I found out a document about weird experiments happening on the Chernobyl ground. They were experimenting on animals mostly. There was nothing about humans. Then, after reading some of the documents, I found something that scared the hell out of me. It was a document that was written before the accident, and it had instructions and variations on how to make an accident. In my mind, I was already thinking they would do something as big as that, just for experiment. How sick they have to be. There were also a lot of logs in this documents that I didn't understand. There was also one document about water experiments. They were all numbers and I had no clue what they meant. On a few of the cameras, I noticed guards and security walking around. There was a lot of them, so I decided not to test my luck more than I have to. I ate another chocolate bar down there and waited to get dark outside. Not completely, but a little. Just enough so it is harder to see and I will not have to use flashlight. The time finally came and I needed to move out. Walking back the long corridor felt longer than I came. It was weird, but I ignored it. I thought it was because I was tired. I didn't notice the time, but I reached the ladders and I climbed up. When I climbed up, it was pitch black. I said to myself, wait. What? How can this be? When I took a look on my clock, it was close to midnight. How can this be? When I started going back, it was 7 p.m. and now it is close to midnight? How is that possible? Where did 4.5 hours go? What? At this point, I was so tired I just kept walking. Finally, I was reaching the ghost town from before. Around this area, I left the radiation equipment I found. I knew I was not that far from the exit. I decided not to take any rest and get out of this place once and for all. So after walking and hearing all the weird animal noises, the exit was in sight. It was starting to get bright and the sun was starting to rise and I didn't want to be spotted by guards, so I rushed. I climbed the wall from where I came and I went out. This was the best urban exploring I have ever done. I don't know if you can call this urban exploring, but this was the best thing that happened in my life. I went straight back to the airport and with the first flight I went home. After a few nights, finally I will get some good night's sleep. Redditors, thank you for listening to my story. And let me tell you one thing, something weird was happening in Chernobyl back then. But something even weirder is happening now. So I was just scrolling through the dark web, checking out random stuff. Came across this listing for a mystery box. Thought, why not? Ordered it without thinking too much. When the package arrived, it looked pretty normal, just said mystery on it. Opened it up, found some odd things, a vintage watch, a weird journal with strange symbols, and this metal thing that glowed kinda cool. Didn't think much of it at first. Thought it was some sci-fi prop or something. Put it on my desk, looked cool there. But then things started getting weird. Started feeling sick, like really sick. Headaches that felt like a sledgehammer, and this constant nausea. Thought it was just a bug or something, but it didn't go away. Couldn't sleep one night, sweating like crazy, and having these messed up dreams. That's when it hit me. The metal thing might be the cause. Looked into it, and turns out it was emitting radiation, like dangerous levels. No wonder I felt like crap. Called the cops, explained the situation. They came, checked it out, and were like, "This is serious. It's hazardous." They took it away, sealed it in some lead box or whatever. Now I'm left wondering what the heck was in that box and what it was doing to me. Lesson learned, I guess. Stay away from mystery boxes on the dark web. So after the whole cops taking away the metal thing incident, I got kinda obsessed with figuring out what the heck was going on. Like, why was that thing spewing radiation like a broken microwave? I did some digging, Googling, asking around on forums, anything to get a clue. It was frustrating though. Dark web stuff is like a maze with no map. You think you're close to a clue, and bam, dead end. But I kept at it, like a stubborn detective in a bad TV show. Eventually, I stumbled onto this forum thread where people were talking about their own mystery box horrors. One guy said he bought something similar, ended up with nightmares that'd make a horror movie seem like a Disney flick. Others had their own weird experiences, like objects that seemed normal but had this creepy vibe. I messaged a few of these folks, shared my story. Most thought I was trolling or just plain nuts, but a couple seemed genuinely spooked, like they'd seen the same horror flick I was living. As I dug deeper, the stories got darker. Cursed objects, haunted relics, all being sold like eBay deals from hell. And there I was, thinking I hit the jackpot with a cool-looking metal ball. But here's the kicker. I couldn't shake this feeling of being watched, like someone or something was peering over my shoulder, waiting for me to slip up. Maybe it was paranoia from all this dark web drama, but it felt real, like a cold breeze on a hot day, chilling you to the bone. So, yeah, that's where I'm at, trying to unravel a mystery that feels more like a nightmare with each clue, and wondering if I'll ever get back to normal, whatever that means anymore. So after messing around with that mystery box and the metal thing inside, things went downhill fast. It wasn't just about weird dreams or spooky stuff. No, it got real, like hospital bed real. Turns out that metal thing was leaking radiation, and me, being clueless, kept it around like a cool souvenir. Big mistake. I started feeling sick, like really sick. Headaches that felt like a jackhammer, nausea that made eating a struggle. Thought it was just a bad flu or something, but it didn't let up. Doctors were stumped at first, running tests like a marathon but coming up empty. Then they dropped the bomb. Radiation poisoning. Like I stepped into a sci-fi flick, but this was no movie. Treatment was brutal, like a constant battle against my own body. Chemo, meds that made me feel worse before, if they made me feel better. Life got messy. Work? Forget about it. Friends? Drifted away, couldn't handle the whole sick friend thing. Every day was a grind, fighting not just the sickness but also the regret, the anger at myself for being so dumb. And those whispers? Not some ghost story. They were the harsh truths of a life turned upside down, all because of a dumb decision that left me fighting for normalcy in a world that suddenly felt anything but normal. So dealing with the aftermath of that dark web mess was no walk in the park. Physically, I was wrecked from the radiation treatment. It felt like dragging myself through quicksand every day, just trying to get by. But the mental toll was even worse. Facing your own mortality, realizing how fragile life is. Let's just say it messes with your head big time. I couldn't shake off this constant fear of the cancer coming back, of not making it through the next round of treatment. And then there's the paranoia. Every little noise, every flicker of light had me jumping to conclusions. Was it the radiation messing with my senses, or was there something else going on? It's like living in a constant state of alertness, never fully at ease. Trying to distract myself was tough. Friends and family tried to help, but unless you've been through it, you don't really get it. It's a lonely battle, fought mostly in your own head. But hey, there were moments of clarity too. Appreciating the little things, like waking up without a fever or getting through a day without feeling like crap. It's those moments that keep you going, that remind you there's still good stuff out there, even in the midst of all the crap. But yeah, dark web adventures, not worth it. Lesson learned the hard way for sure. Looking back at the whole dark web mess, it's been a real eye-opener. One big lesson I've learned is to be careful with curiosity. Sometimes clicking on something just because it looks cool or mysterious can lead to serious trouble. It's like playing with fire without realizing how easily you can get burned. Health-wise, it's been a wake-up call. I used to take my well-being for granted, but going through all that radiation stuff made me realize how fragile life can be. Taking care of yourself, both physically and mentally, is super important. It's like investing in your own well-being insurance policy. Another thing I've learned is to trust my instincts more. If something feels off, it probably is. Whether it's a weird package from the internet or a gut feeling about a situation, listening to that inner voice can save you a lot of headaches, literally in my case. So yeah, that's my story. Dark web adventures and radiation scares. Definitely not recommended. But hey, life goes on, and I'm grateful for every day I wake up feeling okay. Live and learn, right? Alright, grab a seat and get comfy, because this story's going to take you on a wild ride. It all started on one of those late nights when boredom and curiosity tag-teamed me into surfing the dark web, the internet's shadowy underbelly where the forbidden fruit grows ripe. Now I'd heard all the rumors and cautionary tales about the dark web, how it's a digital den of thieves, hackers, and all sorts of shady characters. But hey, curiosity killed the cat, right? So there I was, diving headfirst into the digital abyss, navigating through layers of encryption and hidden URLs like a cyber sleuth on a mission. And that's when I stumbled upon it. A listing that stood out like a neon sign in a foggy alley. It was an old-school Ouija board, the kind you'd see in horror movies, complete with cryptic symbols and a promise of supernatural connection. Now, I've always been a skeptic when it comes to ghosts and spirits. But there's something about the unknown that tickles the imagination. Without thinking too much about the consequences, classic mistake, I know, I clicked that purchase button faster than you can say regret. A few days later, a nondescript package arrived at my doorstep, its contents shrouded in mystery and anticipation. Inside was the Ouija board, a relic from a bygone era, its wooden surface weathered with age and etched with letters and numbers that seemed to shimmer in the faint light. It had an aura of mystery and danger, like a Pandora's box waiting to be opened. Naturally, I couldn't resist the temptation to test its supposed powers. So I gathered a few close friends, set up the board in a dimly lit room, and we all huddled around, fingers poised on the planchette, ready to commune with the spirits of the beyond. At first, there was nothing but silence, broken only by nervous giggles and whispered jokes. But then, as if on cue from a horror movie, the planchette started to move. It was slow at first, almost imperceptible, but then it gained momentum, gliding across the board with an otherworldly grace. "Hello," it spelled out, the word hanging in the air like a ghostly greeting. We exchanged wide-eyed looks, a mix of excitement and apprehension dancing in our eyes. We bombarded the board with questions, and to our shock, it answered with chilling accuracy, revealing secrets and insights that sent shivers down our spines. The atmosphere in the room shifted, becoming charged with an electric energy that seemed to crackle with every word spelled out by the planchette. It was like we had tapped into a realm beyond our understanding, a realm where the laws of physics and logic bent like pretzels. As the night wore on, the messages from the Ouija board grew darker and more ominous. It spoke of forgotten tragedies, lost souls, and whispered warnings that sent a chill down our collective spines. We were in too deep, caught in a web of curiosity and fear that we couldn't escape. And then it happened. The planchette moved with a force that seemed to defy gravity, landing on a series of letters and numbers that formed a cryptic message. Abandoned mental hospital. The room fell silent, the weight of those words hanging in the air like a fog. We exchanged nervous glances, the reality of what we had just witnessed sinking in like a stone in our stomachs. Little did we know that our innocent game of ghost hunting would lead us down a path of terror and madness into the heart of a place that held secrets darker than the night itself. The message on the Ouija board left us stunned, like a bolt of lightning in a clear sky. Abandoned mental hospital. It sounded like something out of a horror movie, a place steeped in darkness and forgotten by time. Curiosity mingled with unease as we stared at those words, wondering what they meant and what awaited us if we dared to follow their lead. It was as if the board had opened a door to a realm of nightmares, and we were teetering on the edge, unsure whether to step back or plunge forward into the unknown. Despite the creeping sense of dread, or maybe because of it, we decided to investigate further. Armed with nothing but curiosity and a healthy dose of apprehension, we embarked on a quest to uncover the truth behind the ominous message. Researching the history of the mental hospital revealed a chilling past, a place that had once been a sanctuary for the mentally ill, but had descended into chaos and darkness. Stories of mistreatment, experimentation, and unspeakable horrors whispered through the corridors of time, painting a picture of a place tainted by tragedy and suffering. But it wasn't just the historical horrors that gave us pause. It was the present-day rumors, whispers of strange occurrences, ghostly apparitions, and inexplicable phenomena that continued to haunt the abandoned halls of the hospital. Undeterred by the ominous warnings, or maybe fueled by our own curiosity-driven bravado, we decided to visit the abandoned mental hospital. It was a moonless night, the air heavy with an unspoken tension as we approached the looming silhouette of the dilapidated building. Entering the hospital felt like stepping into a different dimension, a world of decay and despair, where every creaking floorboard and rustling wind carried the echoes of a troubled past. Shadows danced in the flickering light of our flashlights, playing tricks on our senses and heightening our senses to the slightest sound or movement. The atmosphere was suffocating, oppressive, as if the very walls of the hospital held on to the memories of anguish and suffering. We navigated through the labyrinthine corridors, our footsteps echoing in the silence like a heartbeat in the dark. And then we found it, the room that the Ouija board had led us to. It was like stepping into a scene from a nightmare, with peeling paint, broken furniture, and an aura of malevolence that hung in the air like a thick fog. As we stood in that room, surrounded by the remnants of forgotten lives and untold horrors, a sense of dread washed over us. It was as if the spirits of the past were watching, waiting for us to uncover their secrets and unleash their wrath. But little did we know that our presence had awakened something dark and vengeful, something that had been dormant for far too long. And as we would soon discover, some doors are better left closed, some secrets better left buried in the depths of the past. The room in the abandoned mental hospital seemed frozen in time, a haunting snapshot of a bygone era. Dust motes danced in the dim light, casting eerie shadows that seemed to shift and whisper secrets of their own. Despite the oppressive atmosphere, we pressed on, our curiosity outweighing our unease. The Ouija board had led us here for a reason, and we were determined to uncover the truth, no matter how unsettling it might be. As we explored further, we stumbled upon old patient records, yellowed with age and neglect. The stories they contained were heartbreaking, tales of forgotten souls, broken minds, and the cruelty of a system that had failed those it was meant to heal. But it was a particular record that sent a chill down our spines, an entry detailing a patient named Sarah, a young woman who had been admitted for severe mental trauma. According to the records, Sarah had been subjected to experimental treatments that bordered on torture, her screams echoing through the halls like a haunting melody. The more we delved into Sarah's story, the more it felt like she was reaching out to us from beyond the grave, begging us to uncover the truth and set her restless spirit free. It was as if the Ouija board had acted as a conduit, connecting us to a world of pain and suffering that refused to be forgotten. But as we were about to discover, some secrets are buried for a reason. As we continued our investigation, strange things began to happen. Objects moved on their own. Whispers echoed through the corridors, and shadows seemed to take on a life of their own. It was as if the very fabric of reality was unraveling around us, revealing a darkness that lurked just beneath the surface. We tried to rationalize the occurrences, blaming it on our overactive imaginations or the decaying state of the building. But deep down, we knew that something far more sinister was at play. And then Sarah's presence made itself known. It started with subtle signs, a flickering light, a cold breeze, but soon escalated into full-blown manifestations. We saw her, or at least her apparition, wandering the halls with a look of anguish etched on her spectral face. It was a chilling sight, one that made us question our sanity and the nature of reality itself. Had we unleashed a vengeful spirit by meddling with forces beyond our understanding? Or was there something darker at work, something that had been waiting for us to stumble into its domain? As the night wore on, the hospital seemed to come alive with malevolent energy, as if feeding off our fear and uncertainty. We knew we had to leave, to escape the clutches of whatever darkness had been awakened. But escape wouldn't be easy. The hospital had become a labyrinth of nightmares, with doors that led to nowhere, corridors that twisted and turned like a maze, and an ever-present sense of being watched by unseen eyes. It was a race against time and terror as we navigated the haunted halls, each step bringing us closer to the truth and closer to the edge of madness. And as we would soon discover, the past never truly dies. It lingers, waiting for the curious souls foolish enough to seek it out. The haunting presence of Sarah, the tortured spirit of the abandoned mental hospital, grew stronger with each passing moment. It was as if she was guiding us, leading us deeper into the heart of darkness that had consumed her. As we ventured further into the hospital's depths, the lines between reality and nightmare blurred. Time seemed to warp and bend, with minutes stretching into eternity and the boundaries of space shifting like mirages in the desert. We encountered rooms that defied logic, a surgical theater frozen in time, its tables stained with dried blood and echoes of agonized screams, a children's ward filled with broken toys and whispered lullabies that sent shivers down our spines, and a solitary confinement cell where the air was heavy with the weight of despair and madness. With each new discovery, the hospital revealed more of its grim history, a history tainted by cruelty, neglect, and unspeakable atrocities. We read patient testimonials etched into the walls, desperate pleas for mercy and sanity that fell on deaf ears. But it wasn't just the past that haunted us. The present seemed to conspire against us, with strange phenomena intensifying as we delved deeper. Shadows danced at the edges of our vision, whispers echoed in the darkness, and the temperature plummeted to bone-chilling levels. We tried to rationalize what we were experiencing, attributing it to the decaying state of the building or our own overactive imaginations. But deep down, we knew that something far more sinister was at play. And then, Sarah's presence became undeniable. We saw her apparition more frequently, her spectral form flickering in and out of existence like a glitch in reality. Her eyes held a mixture of sadness and rage, as if she was trapped between worlds, unable to find peace. It was during one of these encounters that things took a terrifying turn. Sarah's apparition appeared before us, her voice a haunting whisper that echoed through the halls. She spoke of pain, betrayal, and a desire for revenge against those who had wronged her. In that moment, we realized the gravity of our situation. We had unwittingly unleashed a vengeful spirit, one with the power to exact retribution on the living. And as we stood face to face with Sarah's wrath, we knew that our only chance of survival was to find a way to appease her tortured soul. But appeasing a vengeful spirit is no easy feat, especially when you're trapped in a labyrinth of nightmares with no way out. Every step we took felt like a plunge into madness, with the hospital's dark history clawing at our sanity and threatening to consume us. As the night wore on, fear and desperation became our constant companions. We searched for clues, for anything that could help us understand Sarah's pain and find a way to put her spirit to rest. But with each passing moment, it became clear that our chances of survival were dwindling, and the line between reality and nightmare blurred beyond recognition. In the depths of that haunted hospital, we faced our darkest fears and the consequences of meddling with forces beyond our control. And as we would soon discover, some doors should never be opened, and some secrets should never be unearthed. As the night wore on, our situation grew increasingly dire. Sarah's vengeful spirit seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment, her presence looming over us like a dark cloud. We searched frantically for a way to appease her, to find closure for the tortured soul trapped within the hospital's walls. But the answers remained elusive, hidden in the shadows of the past. With no other options left, we decided to confront Sarah directly, to plead for her forgiveness and offer whatever solace we could. It was a risky move, one that could either save us or seal our fate. We found her in the heart of the hospital, in a room that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Her apparition flickered before us, her eyes filled with a mixture of pain and anger. We spoke to her, pouring out our regrets and apologies, hoping that our words would reach her tormented soul. But Sarah's rage was palpable, her thirst for revenge unquenchable. As we pleaded with her, the hospital itself seemed to come alive, its walls groaning and shifting as if in response to Sarah's wrath. It was as if the building itself was a manifestation of her anger, a prison that held her captive for eternity. And then it happened, a surge of energy unlike anything we had ever experienced. The air crackled with electricity, and Sarah's apparition grew more solid, more real. In that moment of desperation, I reached out to her, offering my hand in a gesture of peace. And to my surprise, she hesitated, her eyes softening for the briefest of moments. It was then that I realized the key to setting her free. It wasn't just about offering apologies or seeking forgiveness. It was about acknowledging her pain, validating her existence, and allowing her to find closure on her own terms. With a final plea, I urged Sarah to let go of her anger, to release the chains that bound her to the hospital and embrace the light of peace. And in that moment, something shifted. The air grew still, the shadows receded, and Sarah's apparition began to fade. As she disappeared into the ether, a sense of calm washed over me, mingled with sadness for the tortured soul we had encountered. The hospital seemed to sigh with relief, its oppressive atmosphere lifting like a fog. We left the abandoned mental hospital that night, changed in ways we couldn't fully comprehend. The experience had been harrowing, but it had also taught us the power of empathy, of understanding the pain of others, even those from beyond the grave. And as I look back on that night, I can't help but wonder, was it all a hallucination, a shared delusion brought on by fear and exhaustion? Or did we truly encounter the spirit of Sarah, a lost soul seeking redemption in a world of darkness? The answer remains elusive, hidden in the mysteries of the abandoned mental hospital and the secrets of the dark web. Let me paint you a picture of how this whole thing started. It was a humid summer day, the kind where even the air felt heavy with secrets. My grandma, bless her unpredictable soul, hands me this small velvet box with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. Now you've got to understand, my grandma's gifts have always been a mix of whimsical and downright bizarre, but this one took the cake, or rather, the ring and the coin. I opened the box, and inside, nestled against the velvet, are two items that immediately set off alarm bells in my head. First, there's the ring. It's not your run-of-the-mill sparkler. No, this thing is something straight out of a fantasy novel. The metal is cool against my skin, and the engravings. Oh boy, the engravings. They're like nothing I've ever seen. Symbols that seem to shift and writhe as if they have a life of their own. It's mesmerizing and unsettling at the same time, like a puzzle begging to be solved. And then there's the coin. At first glance, it looks like a relic from a forgotten era. The edges are worn smooth from centuries of handling, and the markings on it are so faded that they could be mistaken for mere scratches. But there's something about the weight of it in my palm, the way it seems to hum with a hidden energy, that tells me there's more to this coin than meets the eye. Naturally, my curiosity goes into overdrive. I mean, who wouldn't be curious about such mysterious gifts? So, like any modern-day sleuth, I turn to the dark web. Now, let me tell you, navigating the dark web is like navigating a minefield blindfolded, but armed with determination and a healthy dose of caution, I dive headfirst into the digital abyss. Days blur into nights as I scour forums, chat rooms, and hidden websites, searching for any clue that could unravel the enigma of these artifacts. And then, like a beacon in the darkness, I stumble upon a thread that sends shivers down my spine. The discussion revolves around ancient artifacts from Iraq, whispered tales of a master craftsman who wove magic into his creations. They talk about hidden workshops in the depths of the desert where legends and reality blur into one. And what do you know? The descriptions match the ring and the coin perfectly. Now, most people would have probably called it quits at this point, chalked it up to Grandma's eccentricity, and moved on with their lives. But not me. No, I'm stubborn to a fault when it comes to solving mysteries. So,
armed with newfound knowledge and a sense of impending doom. I delved deeper into the rabbit hole, determined to uncover the truth behind my grandma's seemingly innocuous gifts. Little did I know, I was about to embark on a journey that would challenge everything I thought I knew about reality and plunge me into a world of ancient secrets, dark forces, and a connection between my grandma, the dark web, and a mysterious craftsman from a land steeped in myth and legend.
As my investigation into the dark web's mysteries deepened, I found myself entangled in a web of cryptic clues that seemed to beckon me further into the unknown. It was like navigating a maze with shifting walls, where every turn revealed new secrets and dangers lurking in the shadows. One fateful night, while traversing the murky depths of a hidden forum known for its esoteric discussions, I stumbled upon a thread that sent a chill down my spine. It spoke of a clandestine group, shrouded in secrecy, rumored to possess ancient knowledge and wield powers beyond mortal comprehension. Whispers circulated about their involvement in arcane rituals that tapped into the energies of forgotten artifacts. Artifacts like the ring and coin that now lay in my possession. The chatter in the forum hinted at a connection between this enigmatic group and the elusive craftsman from Iraq. Legend spoke of his mastery in crafting objects imbued with mystical properties, objects that could alter reality itself in the hands of those who understood their true potential. With each revelation, my curiosity transformed into a burning obsession. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was on the brink of uncovering something monumental, something that had been hidden from the world for centuries. But delving into the secrets of the dark web comes with its risks. I encountered whispers of dark forces lurking in the digital shadows, entities hungry for the power that ancient relics could bestow. It was a chilling reminder that I was treading on dangerous ground, playing a high-stakes game with forces beyond my control. And then, just when I thought I had reached a dead end, a breakthrough came in the form of a cryptic message. It arrived in my inbox like a whisper from the void, a string of numbers and coordinates that pointed to a remote location in the heart of the Iraqi desert. It was a moment of reckoning. I had to make a choice: turn back and abandon the trail of breadcrumbs that had led me here, or embark on a journey into the unknown, risking everything for the chance to unravel the mysteries that had consumed my every waking thought. With a mix of trepidation and excitement coursing through my veins, I made preparations for the journey ahead. Little did I know, this was just the beginning of a harrowing odyssey that would test the limits of my courage, sanity, and beliefs in ways I never could have imagined. The journey to the coordinates I had received was no easy feat. It involved navigating treacherous terrain, braving blistering heat, and constantly looking over my shoulder, aware that I might be followed by unseen eyes. As I approached the designated location in the Iraqi desert, a sense of unease settled over me. The silence was deafening, broken only by the occasional gust of wind that carried whispers of ancient secrets lost to time. Upon reaching the coordinates, I was met with a sight that sent shivers down my spine. A dilapidated structure half buried in the sand, its walls adorned with faded symbols reminiscent of those on the ring I had received. With cautious steps, I entered the abandoned workshop, feeling as if I had stepped into a forgotten chapter of history. The air was heavy with the weight of centuries, and every creak of the wooden floorboards echoed like a ghostly lament. As I explored the decrepit interior, I uncovered remnants of the craftsman's artistry. Tools worn with age, scraps of metal etched with arcane runes, and fragments of unfinished creations that seemed to pulse with dormant energy. But it was what I found hidden beneath a floorboard that made my blood run cold: a journal, its pages yellowed with age, filled with cryptic writings and sketches that hinted at the true nature of the artifacts I sought. The journal spoke of a forbidden ritual, one that promised untold power but came with a grave price. It detailed the crafting process of objects infused with the essence of ancient deities, objects that could bend reality to the will of their wielder. It became clear to me that the ring and coin were not mere trinkets. They were keys to unlocking a power beyond comprehension. But with that power came a darkness that threatened to consume those who dared to seek it. As I read on, I realized that my grandma's seemingly innocent gifts were anything but. She had unwittingly stumbled upon a legacy of forbidden knowledge, a legacy that now beckoned to me with whispered promises of power and peril. With each revelation, I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. I was on the brink of uncovering truths that could change everything I knew about the world, about reality itself. But at what cost? And who else was aware of these secrets, lurking in the shadows, waiting to claim the power that lay dormant in these artifacts? The desert held its secrets close, and I knew that unraveling the mysteries of the craftsman's workshop was only the beginning of a journey fraught with danger and deception. But I couldn't turn back now. The lure of forbidden knowledge was too strong, and I was determined to see this through to the end, no matter the consequences. Returning from the desolate expanse of the Iraqi desert with the journal clutched tightly in my hands, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had stepped into a realm where reality blurred with ancient myth and forbidden secrets. The weight of the journal pressed against my chest, its pages a testament to the dark truths that lurked beneath the surface of the artifacts I sought. As I settled back into my familiar surroundings, the journal became both a source of fascination and dread. Its yellowed pages held cryptic writings that spoke of rituals so ancient and arcane that they seemed to defy comprehension. Each word was a whisper from a bygone era, a glimpse into a world where mortals dared to challenge the boundaries of reality itself. But amidst the mysticism and intrigue, there was a palpable sense of danger. The journal warned of the consequences of wielding the power of the artifacts, the toll it took on the mind, the soul, and the very fabric of existence. It spoke of a darkness that lurked within the objects, a darkness that hungered for souls and twisted the desires of those who dared to seek its power. One entry in particular sent shivers down my spine, a frantic scribble, as if the author had been on the brink of madness. It spoke of a curse that befell those who delved too deep, a curse that bound their fate to the artifacts for eternity. But despite the warnings, I couldn't turn back now. The journal had become a roadmap to unlocking the mysteries that had plagued my thoughts since receiving the gifts from my grandma. It detailed the origins of the artifacts, tracing their lineage back to ancient civilizations that worshipped forgotten gods and practiced dark rituals. The more I delved into the journal's secrets, the more I realized the magnitude of what I had stumbled upon. The artifacts were not mere trinkets, they were conduits of power, channels through which ancient energies flowed. And with each revelation, I felt a sense of both exhilaration and dread, knowing that I was standing on the precipice of knowledge that could change the course of history. But with knowledge came responsibility, and I knew that I had to tread carefully. The shadows seemed to grow darker, the whispers of unseen forces louder, as if warning me of the dangers that lay ahead. And yet, I couldn't deny the allure of forbidden knowledge, the pull of uncovering truths that had been buried beneath layers of deception and time. So, armed with the journal's revelations and a sense of trepidation, I prepared to confront the truth that awaited me. Little did I know the journey ahead would test my resolve, sanity, and beliefs in ways I never could have imagined. But I was committed to unraveling the mysteries that had ensnared me, no matter the cost. With the weight of the journal's revelations heavy on my mind, I embarked on the final leg of my journey, a journey that would lead me to confront the truths that had eluded me for so long. Armed with determination and a mix of apprehension and curiosity, I set out to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within the artifacts and their connection to my grandma. As I retraced the path that had brought me to this point, I couldn't help but reflect on the journey itself. It had been a roller coaster of emotions, from initial curiosity to growing apprehension, and now a steely resolve to face whatever lay ahead. Arriving at the location where the artifacts were first discovered, I felt a sense of anticipation mingled with dread. The air crackled with energy, as if the very earth held its breath in anticipation of what was to come. With trembling hands, I retrieved the ring and coin from where I had kept them safe. As I held them in my palms, I felt a surge of power coursing through me, a whisper of ancient knowledge brushing against my consciousness. but with that power came a sense of foreboding. The warnings from the journal echoed in my mind, reminding me of the dangers that lurked within the artifacts. I knew that wielding their power would come at a cost, one that I might not be prepared to pay. Nevertheless, I pressed on, driven by a thirst for answers that outweighed my fears. With a deep breath, I activated the ritual described in the journal, invoking the ancient energies that lay dormant within the artifacts. What happened next is a blur, a whirlwind of sensations, visions, and revelations that defied logic and reason. I glimpsed worlds beyond our own, realms of existence that defied description. I saw the faces of those who had come before me, their desires and fears etched into the very fabric of reality. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the ritual ended, leaving me gasping for breath and reeling from the experience. I had glimpsed the forbidden knowledge that the artifacts held, but at what cost? As I looked down at the ring and coin, I knew that I had crossed a line from which there was no turning back. The power I had unleashed was both exhilarating and terrifying, a double-edged sword that promised both enlightenment and damnation. But amidst the chaos and uncertainty, one thing became clear. My grandma's seemingly innocuous gifts had led me down a path of discovery that had changed me irrevocably. I had ventured into the realms of ancient mysteries, brushed against forces beyond comprehension, and come face to face with the price of forbidden knowledge. And as I stood there, grappling with the consequences of my actions, I couldn't help but wonder, what other secrets lay waiting to be uncovered, and at what cost would I continue to seek them?